Since 1945, Weatherby's been building the finest firearms and ammunition in the world. And today, we're proud to continue that legacy from our facility in Sheridan, Wyoming. This is On Our Mark, the Weatherby Podcast.
Welcome back to On Our Mark, the Weatherby Podcast. We have some special guests in today. One very special guest, Ed Weatherby. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Adam, welcome back.
Thanks, Luke.
To your podcast.
Thanks.
To your podcast, yeah. It's great.
Thanks for having me on my podcast.
We today are going to be talking about a very special milestone, 80 years in business. That's significant. Still family owned and operated, even more significant. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Ed,
Pretty rare.
what was your starting in the business? What did that look like?
Gosh, in grammar school, folding boxes,
Yeah.
putting ammo in ammo boxes, and just kind of went from there. Worked in the retail store that we had back then when I was in high school. Yeah, then came straight in after college.
You know, Luke, I was thinking about it today because if we're 80 years now, but I mean, that would have been, I don't want to age you, Dad, but I mean, that have been before our 20th anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, you know, when you're in grammar school, that was like 15 years. So, I mean, that's pretty crazy to think about that, you know, 15 to 20 years after the company. Would you have ever thought you'd have been doing something like this on an 80th anniversary for Weatherby?
Never really thought about that far forward. Certainly didn't know we'd be doing it here in Sheridan, Wyoming.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah. That's crazy.
What? How much time did you overlap with Roy in the business? Like quite a while.
You know, maybe let's not start at grammar school, but after I came in there in college working full time, it was about 15, 16 years
Yeah.
that we were both in the company.
What? How was y'all's relationship? I mean, you and Adam seemed. You know, I've been around you guys almost 8 years now, and you guys have a very unique, very special relationship. You seem to have a ton of trust in Adam.
I do, yeah.
How was that with Roy?
I don't think he had that same trust in me, but he didn't have that trust in anybody.
Heard that. I've heard
there was
that.
always the right way, the wrong way, and the Weatherby way.
Right.
But like kind of that stubbornness or whatever you want to call it is probably why he was like able to start the business, though. Had kind of faith in what he was doing too, though. So it seems like a lot of times in first generation, there is a good, strong personality to get things going, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know, I was talking about making boxes when I was in grammar school. Well, when he started the company, he was making boxes, and that's where he started, and he did every single job in the company as he worked his way, you know, through to where it was actually a surviving, thriving company.
Mm.
Yeah, there's a lot to get a business off the ground. You don't just start with 100 some odd people. You know,
Right,
it
exactly.
was just him.
It was one person.
And he started with nothing. You got to remember he's this poor farm kid from Kansas. And I think when you start from nothing and you're able to build something like he did, you tend to grasp it pretty tightly. I think if you're to look at business entrepreneurs that came from nothing, he wasn't gifted $1 million to go start something.
Right.
He started with literally nothing.
Yeah, literally nothing. And so it was hard work.
It's a lot of bootstrapping.
A lot of long hours, Saturdays and Sundays. It was really his life.
Yeah.
I mean, your Saturdays, you've told me, it was you'd get up in the morning, it was either chores at the house or come down to the shop and do whatever. Right?
Yeah. No, he would have a list of things on a yellow notebook paper for me to do at the house, or he'd say, or you can come down and work at Weatherby, and I'd go down.
You're working either way.
No matter what, you're not hanging out with your friends on the weekend.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dad? What do you think? There's a lot of people that start out in something, and there were obviously in the 40s, a number, Ruger, Nosler, Hornady, Hodgdon, Weatherby, a lot that came out of there. That a lot of them are still family owned today. What do you think, if you were to look back, what drove that success to not just be a 3 or 5 year journey, but what drove it to have such a strong foundation that we'd be here 80 years later?
I really think it was my dad's personality, who he was, just the strength of believing in himself and believing in what he was doing and working really, really hard. And when he failed, he just got back up and did it again. And I think it was just his persistence to make this work, and it did.
A lot of people would have given up, and you hear that about those entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
You know, but what's weird is, where did he learn that from?
You know, he seemed to have a knack for marketing, for promoting a product and promoting himself. And, you know, not that it was easy for him, but I think it was really just the charisma that he had to drive this thing forward.
Yeah, people say I can talk anybody into anything, but I think Grandpa did me on that, huh? I mean,
it'd be real interesting to see you as an adult with him and have a conversation about
like
something.
me trying to tell him that putting carbon fiber and titanium and wood is going to work.
Yeah, right.
How would that have gone over?
Just about as well as it was when I talked about the fiber market.
So I know that story, but how'd that go down? That was the first non-wood stock for Weatherby.
Yeah, there was really nobody in our industry producing synthetic stocks in a manufacturing way. It was just custom stock makers that were doing it at that time. But it seemed to make a lot of sense to me, all the benefits of a synthetic stock. And so it was a tough sell. You know, made up some prototypes in secret and showed it to him. And I guess it didn't matter that it was secret because he just said, "That's the ugliest thing I've ever seen." And I guess through my persistence, I finally got him to
at least try
do a
it.
test sampling in the marketplace, and it was only a few years. It ended up being one of our biggest sellers.
He probably liked that part.
Of course.
Did he ever say, "You were right, I was wrong"?
He said I was right. I'm not sure I remember the wrong part.
That's pretty good. I think with what, we have this 80th commemorative rifle on the table in front of us. I think with what we have here, I think he used the best tools or the best available materials at the time. And I think he would appreciate, he would have been using this barrel, I think. I mean, we've had such good luck with this barrel. It's been phenomenal. The BSF carbon fiber, titanium. I do think this is just a great blend of the old and the new. And we've talked about it before on podcasts. If Roy was around or starting the company today, he probably would have been doing the Mark V backcountries and the super lightweight stuff because he was pushing limits back then at velocity limits. He was at the high end. And so, I mean, we're still trying to do the same thing, but it's just a different set of rules, I guess, now as materials have been modernized or become more available with modern manufacturing techniques. So I think this is, I think he'd be super proud of it. Yeah. You don't know what you don't know at the time, but Weatherby's done a number of commemoratives over the years. What are some like notable ones that would stand out to you?
Well, I think the bicentennial one we did in 1976 was pretty cool.
That was a good year.
Yeah, that's when he was born. And then also the Olympic commemorative model in 1984. That was pretty cool because it's pretty hard to get, to be able to use their logo and actually have a product that promotes the Olympics. And back in 1984, LA was a little better than it is today.
Yeah, it'd probably be pretty hard to do that today.
Under the present circumstances, I would say you're correct.
Yeah.
I remember the 50th. Dad, I was just kind of in college at the time, but the 50th is when we brought back the Mark V production to the U.S. And I remember we had some wood ones and also some stainless ones. I think you actually have some in your gun room of those. But I remember it was kind of a blend, again, with the wood and the stainless. It was kind of both at the same time, wasn't it?
We had a synthetic stainless steel model, and then we had the typical Mark V. I wouldn't even call it deluxe. I mean, it was almost a custom-looking Mark V that we brought out.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I have a 40th that we drummed up here recently and kind of fixed up and stuff. I haven't really shown it to you. I should show it to you. It's kind of cool. So I don't remember the 40th.
Yeah, I think some of the cool things on just this 80th one is we're talking about all the cool new stuff, but then just like wood being timeless and 300 Weatherby standing the test of time of 80 years. There's been so much cartridge development, but this is still our highest selling cartridge is 300 Weatherby. So I think some of those things are
decent
cool.
margin. Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you? I was thinking about it before this podcast. It was funny when we even chose this rifle. We didn't even think about too many other rounds because it needs to be in 300 Weatherby. Dad, why do you think it's been the number one selling cartridge this whole time? 257, 270 Weatherby, a lot of things there were in the 40s. Why do you think 300 always stood on the top?
I think it was the most and is the most versatile cartridge.
Yeah.
You have the stuff for the smaller game, you have the stuff for the larger game, and the 300 kind of was tipping the scale at both ends on what you could do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It just took off, I think, at the time.
Yeah,
and
that kind of even being super versatile. It's like we just brought back the sweet retro boxes. You got the Tiger on there, so it's like you can do anything from North America to Africa with that cartridge. So kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And he did. He went all around the world shooting the 300, using it, in all sorts of game.
He used to record his African safaris too, what he was doing. So it's he was like a modern or a podcaster back then, right?
Yeah.
But he was just talking to himself.
16 millimeter camera, and it was pretty cool stuff. We still have a lot of that in the archives.
The tiger on the box, you really don't think about that being a game animal that much anymore. Did he or you ever get to go on a tiger hunt?
No, never did. Tiger hunting is generally in India, and I never made it there, only in Africa.
But how about lion?
Yeah, been on a lion hunt.
Yeah.
And both he and I shot a lion together on
That's
this
cool.
hunt, so it was pretty cool.
With what cartridge?
300.
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of ammo boxes, do you have any insight on these ammo boxes, or where the artwork would have came from, or anything?
Those were actually almost before my time, at least my time that I remember. As long as I can remember, that's what they look like, even as a little kid. So I really don't know the origin.
That's cool.
Should, but I don't.
There's, with 80 years of history, it's hard to keep it all straight. There's so much that probably Roy may be the only person that ever really knew the artist or whoever did that. It's hard to know.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Some of the comments we've gotten on the boxes, I've never seen it. A lot of people were saying, I've never seen an ammo box that made me want to buy the rifle after buying the ammo.
It is unique. When you look at it to today's ammo boxes,
Yeah.
And back then it was just as unique. Nobody had a box like that.
But but that's everything he did was flashy. Even if I go to the Tomorrow's Rifles today, that's what those catalogs were called.
Right, TRT.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And those were at the time really big, flashy, expensive marketing pieces. Yeah. And he did a lot of things. He was kind of a marketing genius with no marketing degree. Yeah. But he did things over the top. I was thinking about the examples: ammo boxes, the stocks at the time, the engraving, Tomorrow Rifles today, even the Weatherby Award, coming up this gigantic award in the 50s. It was bigger than anything else. Yeah. It was just everything was larger than life. Huh?
Yeah, the Christmas cards was a big thing too.
He sent out Christmas cards to all his customers.
So where do you think that started?
His idea.
The same thing. I'm going to go above and beyond what everybody else is doing. I'm going to show our customers that how personal our relationship is with them, so we're going to send them a cool card.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes sense when you're talking about your customer and just being family owned and all that stuff. It's this is something you normally do with a family member, but once you become a Weatherby owner, it's kind of like that intro to you're part of the family.
That's kind of what he did with his catalog, the TRT. We're talking 120 page book. It wasn't any small thing. And sure, it had all of our products in there and a lot of promotion about our products, but it had testimony after testimony and pictures of customers, and just went into depth on kind of stuff you can't get today, that behind the scenes of of the Mark V and how it's built and the ammunition and what's special about it, and it was cool.
Well, if you think about it, that catalog, we now have podcasts, videos, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all those things.
Yeah.
There was
all combined
basically
in one.
one thing.
That was
and
the
it
thing.
Tomorrow's Rifles Today.
That was it. Yeah. There weren't near as many mediums back then.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had to put all you could into that medium.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he come up with Tomorrow's Rifles Today? I'm sure he did. I mean, the actual saying.
I'm pretty sure that he did. Again,
Yeah.
that was before my time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it made sense because that's what he felt he was building. Is there was no other rifle like it on the market, and it was truly Tomorrow's Rifles Today.
Yeah. Ed, you've probably, I mean, you clearly have a ton of grit yourself because you ran the business for a lot of years from when taking over for Royds and until you passed the baton to Adam. I'm sure there were some times where you just wanted to be like, you know what, forget it. Let's just sell this thing and move on with life.
Yeah,
And
many times. It was about 35 years, and yeah, there were some really good years, and there were some not so good years along the way. And really, towards the end, it was getting so difficult to be in California and manufacture guns and run a factory, and so I think that caused an awful lot of stress, too.
yeah, I mean, that essentially took you a couple years to get it worked out, but that was one of the first things you knew you had to do it, Adam, to be like, we got to get out of here.
Yeah, I didn't know a whole lot about financials, but I knew once we looked in, I'm like, wait, why are we paying this? And why are we paying this? And what about this?
Right.
And what about these rules? And you start to look. And I know you knew eventually it had to get out. It's just hard to do that at the end. I mean, it almost killed me. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But it was, the best thing Weatherby ever did, probably.
But similarly, you moved it from Southgate up to the Central Coast to Tascadero and Paso Robles. So there was a move right after you took over from your dad, and there was a restart there. And I think there's some similarities in that restart from Generation 1 to 2 as there was from 2 to 3. What positives did you see out of that restart then?
Yeah. Boy, just, being able to hire employees that actually hunt and shoot. And where my dad started the company in Southgate, California, at the time he did that, it was a nice area, a nice manufacturing area.
Sure.
But over the years, it grew into a really poor part of town. And we would try to hire someone, and they wouldn't show up for interviews. They actually drove by our place and turned around and went back home.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this is scary.
Yeah, we had bars all on the windows. And, so we knew we had to get out of there. And so we moved up to the Central Coast of California, and that was just a breath of fresh air. And we didn't take very many people with us, just like we didn't when we moved from there to Wyoming. So we had to, start fresh. It gave us an opportunity to build a new team, and I think just really built our momentum going forward for the years after that.
It's pretty neat. Yeah.
We actually had this summer, we get all sorts of visitors in here, and Corey said, hey, there's a guy down here, and he's got an old employee badge from working at Southgate. So, I mean, this would have been the 80s he worked there.
Yeah.
And he still had it, remembered it, and he came by and was talking to me, name-dropping all the old people and stuff like that. So
Yeah, it's cool because I remembered him from then.
Yeah, it's fun.
There's been a lot of longtime employees, Dean and Teresa. Is there any other notable people that's like, man, without that person, it'd be hard to be here?
Well, the first person that comes to mind is a guy by the name of Freddie Toms, and I'm sure Teresa and Dean could tell you lots of stories about Freddie, but he was our inspector, our quality inspector. My dad had hired him from Germany back when
German accent.
Yeah.
Back when we were manufacturing the Mark V there, and he was a great guy. Loved that guy, and he was there for, I don't know,
40 years.
40 years or something.
Wow.
And until he finally retired. But yeah, I can remember when we moved our manufacturing of the Mark V from Japan back to the United States, and we had a company back east that was manufacturing parts for us, and we had sent Freddie back there to do inspections, and they absolutely hated him because he would find everything possibly wrong with it.
It's a good QC guy. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't you say they changed the lights and everything just to make it
like dimmer or something?
In our contract that we had with him, they actually said that the amount of light that Fred could have to look at the guns, couldn't be too bright. No.
That's pretty good.
He's super passionate. You talk to him, he's like, Freddie here, like he's just very excited about life. Like, and he gets fired up about quality.
Yeah, he talked a million miles an hour.
But, retired a long time ago.
Yeah,
but.
good guy.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, Dean, Dean was with us for 58 years, longest tenured employee in the history of Weatherby, including anybody with the last name of Weatherby.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
And you had dinner with him last year, didn't you? When you were back out in California a couple years ago? Him and Judy?
No, it was just last year.
Okay,
and his wife. Yeah.
Yeah.
And great guy. This was his first job out of high school. And
it's amazing.
And he was there for that many years. And when I came in, when I was making my boxes and stuff, Dean was my boss. And so he started at that.
And our kids kind of, growing up when they worked out there when they were young, pre-real working stage. So listening in your government worker, we didn't really have them work. But so Dean says, he worked with 4 generations of Weatherby, which is kind of cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty.
Only job you ever had.
Yep.
That's it. One job.
Yeah.
One interview.
Yeah, and he was a great employee. So loyal, worked hard.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah. Luke, you overlapped with him for a little bit.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
He was like an encyclopedia of Weatherby. Like you'd ask him a question and you would get this answer that was way longer. Like I thought it was kind of a yes/no question, but he would just give you the whole. Well, this happened. Well, the reason that happened is because of this, and it's like, wow, we're 20 minutes into this thing now, and now I that color commentary though it helps so much just to understand what we're working on. So. Good.
And just, if I can elaborate just a little bit more on your question about, the employees in the past, is the other person that's extremely instrumental in my dad's success was a woman by the name of Betty Noonan. Mm-hmm. Anybody that knows the history of Weatherby knows Betty Noonan. And, back, I think it was 84, I can't remember, 86. But we had a book that we had, The Man, the Gun, and the Legend.
Yeah. Or that was after he passed away, wasn't it? More like 88?
Yeah, so it was 88. Yeah. And anyway, Betty's the one responsible for putting that together. But she was my dad's, right-hand man, and he trusted her like no one else. And, she might have been the only one he did trust.
Really?
Yeah.
We had the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation guys in here last year for their 40th, and they talked about Betty quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember they talked about that SHOT Show when it was something about how my grandpa had partnered with them and got a Bugle magazine in our booth, and it was Betty that made that happen.
Yeah, it was like Betty. Betty was like the first one to truly purchase an ad or something from Bugle.
Yeah, I mean, she ran the sales department. She ran marketing. She did everything. Started out as my dad's secretary, but she was probably the number 2 person in the business for a long time. And
you were number 3?
Not in title, but just in her responsibilities. Right. And then I guess, lastly, I would mention Fred Jenny, who was my dad's engineer, because my dad, he had a lot of ideas. He knew what he wanted, but he didn't have the technical ability to create it. And so he hired Fred Jenny. And Fred worked many, many years, and he was really instrumental in the ultimate design of the Mark V. And so he was very a big asset to my dad to take his ideas from his mind and get it into something that you could touch and feel.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty neat. There's a lot that goes from the ideation. Mm. Hey, what if it did this, to actually being able to make the thing that does that?
Yeah,
exactly. There's a lot in that. So.
Yeah.
It's cool when I think about all that. I think about like chapters, in a history of a company, and so you look at 80 years, and it's these people that have come along and really been a part of helping write these chapters over the years, and it makes us think of what we're doing today, where we like. Maybe someday somebody will look back, talk about us old people, and but it's cool to think about that we that story, that legacy that gets handed down. It's yeah. Like Tyler, Luke, you guys are here as part of that. Non-family members like Fred or Betty or those people that are help writing that chapter today.
Someday they'll be talking about you.
Yeah, I hope so. That word legacy it has a lot of weight to it. I've always loved that word for whatever reason, just in general, because it can last for so much longer than even yourself, right?
Yeah.
So
I want to flip back to you guys and ask a question to you guys, Mr. Question Askers.
Okay.
What is it like to come into an 80-year-old family business, to not have the last name there, but to know that you are a part of that legacy? How does that change versus just some other cool company that, I don't know, is owned by whoever and nobody knows the owner? Whatever. How does that change being a part of a family legacy business and knowing you can have an impact in it? How does that I don't know, how does that change? You guys have had different jobs, both of you in this industry a little bit, right? So how does that change?
I can go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
For me, there's kind of two things. To me, I feel like there's a bigger responsibility there, but it makes my job easier and harder too. And in a sense that it's easy because I can buy into that story. So it's really easy for me to understand hey, this is going back to the word legacy. I understand this, and I can see that past, and I can see where we need to lead it in the future, right? So it's pretty clear for me to do that. And it just makes it easy because we just have a leg up on someone who's just selling a product. We're selling more than a product. So as a marketing guy, it's a lot easier to sell the story and all the things that go into it. So I don't actually have to make up anything because it's all real. Right? So I always, for a marketing guy, to have to sell something you don't believe in, that has got to be the hardest job in the world. So I always say my job is super easy, but it's because of the product, the family, the story, the things like that. Cool. And then just even being myself, I worked at a big corporate company before, and to me, the family business is what actually drew me in. And I even feel like since I've been here in Wyoming, I've grown as a person, grown in faith. It's just more than rifles, right? So that's kind of my little perspective.
It's a great answer.
That's great.
Yeah. I think I 1,000% agree with that, but I'm going to take maybe a different
Mine was
approach.
the cheesy version.
No, it was good. I started at a different time. I was one of the first hired as part of the move from California to Wyoming, and my first day was in California. I spent several weeks there, and honestly, the first day I was like, what have I done? I'm going to move my whole family here. The California facility was it wasn't quite what I had in my mind. It's nothing like we have here. But I really did have a moment where I was like, I may have messed up because I came from a different firearms company that was also family owned and operated, but those owners did not get along. And I think on my second day, I sat down with both of you and we were talking about some product development stuff. What do we need to do? And I could tell the relationship that Adam and Ed had. I could tell from that moment that Ed had trust in Adam. There was no headbutting. He was like, whatever you want to do, Adam. That's the right way to go. And Adam's personality, I was like, you know what? This was the right thing to do. I'm going to stick this out. And I haven't regretted it a day since. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Even though I probably do have some of that stubborn grandpa my way thing that I have, but you've learned how to put up with it really well, Luke. You're very patient.
I mean, we pretty much agree 99% of the time.
It's actually true.
Yeah.
It is.
So,
But I think that's
cool.
because you can see a clear vision. I think when family businesses go wrong is when there's too many opinions or there's not a clear vision. We sat down and did goals and our values and stuff, but everyone can row the boat in the same direction.
Yeah.
And a lot of times family businesses don't have that vision. Everyone has a different one, and it's hard to then translate that to employees. So there being this clear vision that you can look back at history, and I feel like we got a good path that we're doing now. So I think that makes it easier.
Yeah.
I was thinking, Dad, go back to early years because, having you on this podcast, you're not in here that often, so take advantage of it. When you think of those early years, you think of all the ways, all the near-death experiences. When I say death, I mean corporate death, not
bankruptcy.
Personal. Correct. And you even read the book that Betty helped put together, there in the late 80s, but you look back and it's like all odds were against him.
Yeah.
We talked about, as you look back, you said, maybe it was his personality kind of got it through, but When you think back to that, like, there are probably a lot of times in your thing, but even for your dad's too, like, how did he make it through all that? Because, financially, there were some tough times.
Other people's money.
Yes, you can have all the grit in the world, but you can still go bankrupt.
Because he had no money. So he had a friend. He had a friend who became his attorney, and my dad was able to sell him on his ideas. And if you invest a little bit in the company, you're going to get a huge return. And so he did. And then it was like another person you had mentioned prior about the Weatherby Award. And the first award that he made, gosh, what was it?
56, I think.
Somebody
will
like
correct us online, but I think 56, I think.
Was given to a person who had done a lot in the world of hunting, and Herb Klein. And so through his relationship with Herb, he did the same thing. Hey, if you invest, I'll give you part of the company. You can get a huge return on your money. And he invested, so my dad had money to carry on. And they both did make a big return on their money. And that happened numerous times over the years, bringing different partners in. Them believing in my father and that he would do what he said he was going to do, and an opportunity for investment. And really, but it was, someone once said to my dad, where would you be without Herb Klein? And I remember my dad's answer, who in the hell do you think found Herb Klein?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that is good. So anyway,
I've never heard that.
That's really good.
That kind of puts into perspective.
Yeah.
His grit.
His grit, and Herb was a great guy, and he invested in
that's a chicken and egg question,
from
right?
there on.
That's funny. You know what's cool? Little tangent there, but when we moved here, a guy reached out to me, a guy younger than me, and ended up getting a hold of me. Long story short, in his message, it was like a LinkedIn message or somewhere. Usually delete 100 a day of these people trying to sell you something. And his grandfather was one of the investors from the 60s or 70s that came in.
Yeah.
And Leo, that got attacked by a lion.
Yep.
And wrote a book about it.
Yep. Leo the Lion.
That's the name of the book. Well, his grandson randomly reached out to me, and we formed a friendship since. And he's like, I think our grandpas were like business partners, before we were born.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
No, and he was a good partner, and he brought in a couple of other people, friends of his that invested, and so that was kind of, the story. And so he had all these different investors, and then when he would do well, he would pay them back and buy their stock back. And then, so it was a great accomplishment for him later in years when he actually owned 100% of the company again.
Which is pretty common for a lot of growing businesses that start from an idea, not from a bank account.
Yeah, right. It's a stair step, right? You probably go up a level and then probably have to get some investors and then
wasn't
the
first investment like some portion of Grandma's family farm in Kansas?
Yeah, my mom, who grew up in Kansas, as did my dad, and she had a farm that was left to her by another relative, and so it got. This was in the real early stage, really.
Like the 40s?
In the 40s, where if my dad was going to continue on, they needed money. And so, they sold that farm.
Sold the family farm.
Wow.
Was able to get money to
That's
carry
all in right
on.
there.
I remember when we came out with the Camilla, our women's line of rifles, which is named after my grandma. I always thought about that story that, she was the silent kind of person behind, Roy, and the strength kind of behind him, but never got any credit for anything. And then about 9 years ago now, we came out with that rifle and calling it the Camilla after her. It's like, hey, she sold the family farm. We're all here today because of it.
Right.
And some years back, we did that whitetail hunt in Kansas, and we drove by the family farm.
We did.
To see that.
Yeah, we went out to Kansas about 10 years ago, actually. I think it was about 2015. And it was kind of on the same creek that my grandpa in the, he was born in 1910, so, we're talking 100 years ago.
Yeah.
over 100 years ago right now,
Yeah.
that he would have been hunting kind of the same creek bed, and we did a whitetail hunt out there, and actually went to a cemetery where you saw a bunch of family you recognized that you'd never been to.
Right. My
Like found it on a dirt road, found a cemetery with his
Didn't really
relatives.
know it was there. Just saw a
I
cemetery.
actually was there when I was a lot younger.
Okay.
Because we had the funeral there at the cemetery, so
Oh,
I kind
wow.
of had this picture in my mind
Right.
of what it looked like. And so when I got there, it was like, yeah, I've been here before. This is cool. And then all these relatives are buried there, mostly on my mom's side, not my dad's. Yeah.
Because she actually had land then in her family where Grandpa had, I mean, they were sharecrop stuff, so weren't owners of any
Right.
land.
They moved
whatsoever.
around all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
What part of Kansas were they in? Because there's like this.
Salida?
Salida. There's a.
Yeah, it's kind of near Wichita, but Salina, Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Salina.
Salina or
Salina.
Salida? I
Salida
don't
is
know.
Colorado.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah,
There's
Salida.
a
Yeah.
Lake Weatherby in Kansas City. That's what I was just
I
scared.
don't think there's any.
I don't think there's
any.
Correlation.
We're not from Lake Weatherby.
That's great.
Funny. Man, yeah, we dug deep on this one, getting way back there. Went 100 years ago.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, there's history before the
Too
the
bad Roy
80
can't be
years.
here for the podcast.
I wish he could be. Yeah, I wish I'd been able to meet him.
He had that television kind of radio voice that you would use back then. Like it was that different. Roy Weatherby here. We have a guest on today's show.
Yeah,
Right? It was that
yeah.
kind of era.
Right. Yeah, he was very, very good at public speaking. Yeah.
I can hear the echoes of I had a hobby too. And
Right.
mine just happened to be guns and ballistics.
Exactly. I mean, he was on programs like what was it? You Asked For It, and gosh, I can't remember. But yeah, anytime he could get publicity, he was there.
Well, and then he'd come back from Africa and then do the town hall things where everybody come down and watch a slideshow. And
yeah, like for the. What am I thinking of? Just different organizations would have him there, Boy Scouts or whatever, to
Yeah.
show his films from Africa. Yeah, all silent, of course. Must have been the boringest thing in the world in our day. But,
Right.
everybody was thrilled back then.
We might have to revise our film festival. It's maybe not the third annual because he did a bunch
Yeah.
way back in the day.
Yeah, we did our 3rd annual. It was a great event. But yeah, I thought we were doing a good job, but I bet he probably had more people at his.
Yeah.
he probably did. Yeah, some days I think it'd be cool for him to be around and just see, I was thinking for him to just walk through our factory here.
Oh,
in
he'd be
Sheridan,
blown away. Yeah.
because he was never able to, see
He just
to
he
be to
didn't.
that scale.
He just shouldn't have the money to go from here to there. If someone said, well, back in the day, here's $1 million, which
That would
would
be
have been a lot of
huge.
money.
Yeah.
I mean, I really truly believe he could have brought it to the same kind of standard that we are today, but he just couldn't do it because he just didn't have the money to do it. Yeah.
It's cool.
The firearms business is tough. It's not a linear business like a lot of consumer packaged goods.
Yeah.
It goes up and down with politics and with
does.
economics and with all kinds of things. And
Yeah.
I could imagine getting started. That it's hard as a mature business, as an 80-year-old business.
Yeah.
It is hard.
Yeah.
As a 15-year-old business,
Yeah.
it's probably crazy hard.
Yeah.
So
It's cool.
pretty awesome that 80 years of having the Weatherby name on rifles. You guys should be really proud. Super
Yeah.
cool.
I'm
Super
certainly
cool.
proud of where the company is today, for sure.
Yeah, it's fun to be part of it.
Yeah, honored. Yeah.
If you want to get some more details about this 80th anniversary rifle, you can go to weatherby.com. It should be, by the time this podcast comes out, you won't be able to miss it, I would imagine. So you'll find it on weatherby.com.
Where all are you going to be able to find it, Tyler?
Yeah, weatherby.com, and then just even you can order them there, but even select dealers are going to have these. So with guns like this, you might see them at a conservation show too, things like that. These always go all over the place. So yeah, weatherby.com.
Yep. Cool.
Ed, thanks so much for coming in and
Hey, you're welcome.
sharing some cool
Always enjoy
stories
coming
with
in.
us.
Yeah. There's a lot of stories. We could do 10 more.
I think we need to
podcasts.
do this again sometime. Yeah.
It was fun. Yeah, I learned some. That who the hell is Herb Klein? That cracked me up. I'd never heard that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thought I'd learned everything from you.
There's
still a few things.
Got to keep a few things close to the
Okay.
vest.
That's great.
All right. Well,
Awesome.
thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
for being on.
All right.